Like, I'm not sure I can do this. I didn't do any training, but here we go anyway. I am officially an Appalachian Trail through hiker as of August 25th of this year. Started on March 25th, so it was exactly 5 months. A lot of people have to fly down to Georgia in order to get, to Springer Mountains on there. And that was probably when it really hit me how far we had to drive from Connecticut down to Georgia. Like, literally 2 days of driving, feeling like my heart was sinking. Oh gosh, what did I get myself into? And I was like, oh man, like I've been talking about this for 3 years. Like, if I don't start at least preparing soon, people are gonna think I'm full of baloney for it. And I kind of winged it, honestly, a little bit. But
that's what you do. You wing
right.
the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah.
Hiking. What were your obstacles in your head, your heart, when you set out to do this?
I wasn't sure how confident I would be to take care of myself. I always wanted that sense of independence, but I wasn't sure if I could really organize myself in terms of walking for 3 to 4 to 5 days, and then getting into a town, resupplying another 4 or 5 days.
Planning.
I also wasn't sure if I was ready to all the camping I had done with sunshine and rainbows, so to speak, and I wasn't prepared for that. Hail, cold, rain, muddy conditions, so I knew that was going to be a big factor, and I wasn't sure that I could mentally handle that. I knew I could probably physically handle it, but I thought maybe I would break down after a while, just mentally go for it. And that's kind of how I winged it. Was like, I'm not sure I can do this. I didn't do any training, but here we go anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you say you didn't do any training, but your whole life, you and your family have camped
Right.
and hiked.
Right.
And so it was sort of like your upbringing was your training.
Exactly. Yeah. I wasn't totally unprepared in that sense. I would say I was probably 10% prepared. But what I did was I kind of treated the first week on the trail as my training. How unprepared I was. The first day, I hiked 17 miles. And I had no idea that most people just start off with like 5 to 8 mile days. And that night at camp, when I peeled off my socks, my feet were so bruised and blood. It was like blood just all over. It was basically trench foot. Any physical injuries, which I never got any serious ones on trail. You just really have to take the time. Do is just take a zero, which is a hiker slang for just not hiking for a day.
Yep.
The time to set it in ice, whatever you need to do. Eat, just get as much food in you as possible, build up those calories again, and head out in the next day or two and tackle it again. Usually that was the trick for me. I was able to overcome any physical injuries that I had.
So it's like rest and recovery.
Yes, rest and recovery. The mental challenges were all about just, if one of my friend groups were set back behind me and I was alone on the trail can get very lonely, and you feel like you're not in a position to make it or to develop a new trail family. And you're kind of in that, it's like that feeling, first day of school feeling. You just have to, again, it's just kind of like the winging it with the trail. You just have to go into it and start talking to new people and just totally get out of your comfort zone. So it really kind of hit me on the New Hampshire-Maine border, line that I'll cross, and that's when it kind of hit me that I was like, oh my gosh, this amazing experience that I've had over the past months is really gonna wrap up here pretty soon. The main section of the Appalachian Trail helps hikers to kind of ease into the end. It's kind of like a Appalachian Trail greatest hits, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Like, it has all the terrain that you've experienced through the past 13 states. So you go from mountains to a few boulder fields here and there, and then really smooth flat trail. And it's just so you're able to reflect over that last, I don't know what it was, 150 miles or so. Mentally preparing yourself to re-enter society, really.
Right.
and you're really kind of just at peace with the whole thing. And for me, I wasn't with any of my friends that I had made on trail. That they had either gone ahead or some had gone like 300 miles behind me, so I hadn't seen them in weeks and weeks and even months. So it was a time for me to kind of just silently reflect and go through in my head what I had learned, what I had been through, all the memory to re-enter, you know. So.
No, I don't.
Maybe you will one day. Who
Maybe
knows?
I will one day. So, like, tell me about the people and learn from others.
Yeah, so if you ever do the trail, you will meet some of the most genuine, amazing people on the planet. I mean, from all over the planet. I mean, one of my best friends that I made on trail was from Germany. He's a 38-year-old guy from Germany, just like this short guy, businessman. Like, he was totally into that business world before he left, and was totally into that, like professional life. And he hadn't really done a lot of exercise before, and he was just able to push through and mentally tackle it. And he summited before me. I mean, he did it in 4 months and 15 days, I want to say. So his why was he works in computer-aided drawing and design type stuff. So it was like he wanted to prove that he could get out there and live a totally opposite life. And his bosses promised him a raise when he got back. So he was like all in for it. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Yep, exactly.
What was your why?
I think it was to prove to myself that I could, like, get out there. And I mean, as of now, I'm still living with my parents, so I'm kind of, it was weird to go from the same position I'm in now, before the trail, living with my parents, kind of being more dependent on them, and then just throwing myself into a totally independent situation. And now that I'm back, eventually I know I'm going to move out within the next year and be able to feel that independent feeling again, taking care of myself, because there's just always been something within me that really craves that. Things that I took away and my regrets that I didn't take away. Well, I guess let's start with the negative, I suppose, get that out of the way. What I'm kind of angry at myself for not taking away, like, so I had this phone the entire time, and you start out with the mindset that, oh man, I can't wait to go to all these different places, see all these views, take pictures of the views. And what I didn't realize that I would regret at the end is, instead of taking pictures of the views, I wish I had taken pictures of the people that I met along the trail. And I do have quite a few pictures of people, but I wish I had almost just taken a picture of everybody that I met on trail, just to have that and then label it, like put their name down, put their number down, just have their contact. Because what I realize now is, like, oh, I probably won't see many of those people ever again. So positive takeaways, I would say, having that feeling of with your life on your back. You know what it is, like, I already, as of Friday, got a whole new backpack set up. Went to REI to West Hartford. It's in my car, actually. I was going to bring it in, but I don't know. I feel like I'm going to knock glasses over or something. It's so huge. But yeah, just having that your life on your back, knowing that you can survive on your own without a car, without electricity, without, all you need is your little cook system. You got as long as you got fuel, you got your stove, you got clothing, you got a tent, sleeping bag, all that. That for me is like that's going to be a huge factor in the rest of my life. I already know it, because just the feeling of having your life on your back is something that I've never really had before. Now that I've mastered it and know how to use all these tools, I'm more like confident in my everyday life.
So wait, you're packed up, so like right now you can go
to
the
yeah,
Appalachian.
I could go. I have enough food for 4 days. Make connections as quickly as you can, because that's really how you're going to survive, well, mentally and physically, I suppose. Get people's numbers. If you're ever in trouble, you'll have a friend to lean on, and if you do that right away. Also, trust your instincts. Like, for me, I automatically was put into this, I guess like autopilot. I guess I could describe it. Like, you're out there and you're experiencing this, again, really primal thing that you haven't experienced before. You're moving constantly. You're making your own food. You're like solely responsible for your survival. And this kind of like instinct starts to develop where later on down the line on the trail, you're going to run into situations where you're not sure whether you should hike more that day or stay in town, or yeah, gosh, there's so many different things. So you choices that you have to decide. Some of them you have to be on the whim, like really quickly. If you hear that there's like bear activity ahead, you got to decide, oh, should I camp here tonight, or should I hike ahead to that section where there could possibly be bears? Just stuff like that. That, I don't know, this autopilot feeling in me came on, and I was able to make those decisions and not like cower in my like undecidedness. You know what I mean? So just trust in your instincts like that.
Trust your gut.
Yeah, trust your gut. Go with your gut. Yeah.
Were you ever afraid? Is there fear in any of them?
Still haven't overcome some of them, which maybe I will one day. But for example, I tried to, like after the first month, like the first month was you try to stay with people as often as possible, stay at shelters, just be alongside people. But after that first month, you're like, all right, I think I kind of got this a little bit. So what I did was I would stealth camp and just hike and just camp alone at night, like once a week, maybe twice a week at the most. And that really gets you play this mental game where you're like, all right, I'm alone. If something were to happen to me, if a bear comes along, if a human comes along, like, you know, you start playing all these games, but if you really just like sit there and try to conquer that fear while you're in your tent, I mean, your tent walls are about that thick, so nothing's really gonna protect you from the elements. I implore people, if they are going to hike anything long term, to immerse themselves in that feeling as much as possible. Learn how to manage it after a while, and you learn to live with it. And yes, you will be scared, but it's one of those things that it's good to know that you can handle yourself in situations like that. Food, constantly eat. I don't know, just be doing something. Phone service, touch base with your family. Just tell them, hey, I'm stealthing tonight. If you don't hear with me tomorrow morning, you know, maybe think about calling somebody.
Mom would be like,
Exactly.
yeah, right.
She slept a lot that night.
Yeah.
Has this given you daily joy in your today?
Well, there's this thing called post-trail depression, which hasn't hit me. I wouldn't say it's like post-trail depression for me, but it's more like post-trail aggravation. I'm like, oh man, I should be doing something right now. Like I should be out there. I should be with my friends, because a lot of my friends even now are still hiking, which is over 7 months now. But yeah, it's just one of those things where whenever you're in your downtime, you're like, oh, I should be out there. I should be just in that whole world again. But in terms of joy, I just had to get that out of the way, because that's, you know, one of the glaring after effects. But the daily joys, again, just knowing that I could, at any time, if I needed to bug out, I could bug out. If I want to go out for a weekend, to even the AT again, or hike some new trails, camp somewhere I haven't camped before, I know I can do it. I know I have it basically in the bag. So
the confidence.
That's one of those confidence factors that does bring me, daily joy, daily happiness.
Yeah, what do you call yourself?
A Nobo?
A Nobo.
Yes, Northbounder.
Northbounder.
Yes.